Okay, my delicious friends, I think I'm already orgasming and I just pressed record because I am so excited to be with my colleague, my friend, my sister, the amazing Jaiya. It's been a while since we've had her on the show. She is a delicious return guest. For those of you, I can't believe if you don't know who she is, but if you don't know who she is, internationally recognized, award-winning sexologist and best-selling author of Red Hot Touch. Jaiya is the creator of the Erotic Blueprint Breakthrough and the Erotic Blueprint Quiz. And though through more than 2 decades of client observation and clinical research, she has discovered a map of arousal that reveals your specific erotic love language or erotic language of arousal. It's a revolutionary framework to create deeper connection and sexual satisfaction. We're going to want you to go at some point through this interview, and you're probably just going to want to race right there right now. So I'm just going to tell you, eroticbreakthrough.com/Allana. So Allana. I just need you to know how much I adore this woman. She has come to my birthday party. We went to like a burlesque. We have like had our sons play together in the hot tub while we were hanging out. I think that was probably the first time I met her. I'm like, hi, I love this woman. We have had interviews at her house. We have danced in S Factor together. I would say we've probably laughed and cried together. And you've brought me to my breathing practices of like close to orgasm together. We've had lots of fun. And one of the reasons I'm so delighted is that I've been out of touch with her for, it feels like a couple years almost, like certainly over a year and a half or so. So this is a safe sanctuary to honor this goddess, learn more about this goddess, move forward if you feel drawn to work with this goddess, and just have one of the most delicious, intimate conversations that will rock your world. So whether you're watching or listening, welcome, girlfriend. Oh, yay!
Oh, it's so awesome. Wow, that was so fun. I was like listening on the edge of my seat, like, oh, wow, cool. I did that.
Oh, yeah. Well, just right out of the gate, what are one of your favorite memories of us? Like, it's been a while, so...
How say the S Factor?
Pratt, what do you
like? The S. I remember us being at S Factor. I remember that being a really big part of my journey at the time. And there's something about being in that space with other women, moving with women, being in that. And I remember just sitting with you. We sat after class for like a really long time.
Yeah.
And we were just, it was a really vulnerable and raw like conversation that I remember us having there. So not only did we like move our bodies in a vulnerable, raw space, but then we were having this really vulnerable, raw conversation. And I just felt really connected.
Thank you. Yeah. I think at that time I was like at a low, really awful custody moment. And I think had just spoken on like Tony Robbins stage or something like fucking fantastic like that. Gave me, you could be with my rawness without fixing or changing. And you could show me like we can get through stuff and look at what's possible. So thank you. What the fuck has happened? You're in Colorado. Like, tell me what's happened since we spoke last. How has your journey been?
Yeah, it's been 2018 was a crazy ride. And I don't know how many of your listeners hit this point in their lives where it kind of feels like you have it all. Like, or if you've experienced this, it was like, I hit this place at the end of 2017 where it's like, can I cuss on this show?
Oh,
can we totally cuss? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I have my revenue. Like I have the money. I always dream. Like I never even dreamed I could even get to this point. Like it's there. I have my guy. Like I have my son. I have my house. Like I have all the things I dreamed. I'm an author. Like I remember writing in journals. Like when I was a little girl, I wanted to be an author. And then I remember writing, I want to have a DVD series and books and like all these things that somebody said recently to me, I checked all the boxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of like, okay, check, that'll have me fulfilled. That will have me feel fulfilled. That I checked all my boxes and I didn't feel good.
Oh,
and I was like, what's the point of any, like, I really hit like a deep depression. Like
oh my goodness.
Like I hit everything and I still feel icky. I don't feel like, it doesn't feel like, yeah, I did it. It feels like, oh
wow. What a shock. Wow.
So I went and had my brain scanned because I was just, I don't understand. Because I never in my life had asked, what's the point? I was always like, I have a goal. I'm going, I'm getting it. Like that, you know, like, And I was like, I was worried about myself. Like something's not right.
Whoa.
And in my brain scan, it revealed I had a traumatic brain injury, and which we don't know if it came from emotional or if it came from like a physical trauma, but my brain wasn't getting blood flow in certain areas.
Interesting.
But they diagnosed me with something called CPTSD, which I don't know if you're most people are familiar with PTSD, like post-traumatic stress disorder. And CPTSD is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay. And what the complex means is that every day, and I'm just going to give a content trigger warning for people who have had traumatic experience. You know, I'm going to talk here about some trauma, and so breathe with me through it.
Breathe deep on the show. It's good.
Or la 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 in your ears for a moment. But CPTSD means that you didn't have just one or a few incidences of some big trauma, like a plane crash or war, you know, like being in a war. It means that every day of your life, developmentally, when you were a child, you had a life-threatening situation for a long period of time.
Right.
Which was the case in my childhood. So I grew up with an alcoholic father who was abusive and threatened consistently. Yeah. And I lived in a shelter for a while because of the threats of trying to kill us, like that kind of stuff in my life, which I'm so grateful for, that I had the opportunity that somebody got us out of there, put us in a home, you know, a home for women with kids who had this. And I didn't realize, because I was spiritually bypassing, you know, there was so much like think good thoughts and be happy and go for your goals and like all this stuff, that I didn't realize that what was underneath, the thing I was really searching for, was a deep healing of my own childhood psyche. Yeah. That when I had everything, suddenly it was like, all right, now's the time to start to look at this. And then how it was manifesting in my life, in relationships and business. I mean, like the things that it's weird to walk through the world not knowing that you're not seeing things.
Interesting.
In a perception that's accurate. And so I was walking through the world the majority of my life, I don't know if you've seen the show Westworld. I just recently was watching Westworld. It's horribly violent. But in it, the robots can't see or hear things that the humans say. Like they can't even perceive it, right? They don't even know that it's being said if it doesn't fit within their reality, if it doesn't fit within their programming. Yep. And I think, you know, even sexually, especially sexually, we all have programming. We all have constructs. We all have things that are in our systems and in our belief systems that keep us from hearing truth, that keep us from seeing things in a different way. Yeah. And it was 2018 was just like total dark night of the soul, 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 until I participated in some deep trauma healing that turned everything around for me. And I'm in life is like night and day. So just a like quick catch up there. That was like a long story, but life is like night and day now. I feel like I'm a completely different person. Wow. The revelations that I've had about who we are as humans, what this whole thing is about on our planet, you know, like it's radically shifted. I'm in such a rest because I've been such a doer my whole life, and I'm in such a space of just being, which is totally different. Yeah.
Bravo that you were willing to check things out, go through the dark night. Oh, another dark night. Here we go. Dark night. Right? You were willing to keep going until you came home.
Mm-hmm. You know? Exactly. Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big one to check off the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming home.
There's no more boxes, you know, like it's just being now.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so happy for you. And you are in Colorado now.
Yeah. So big move. We moved from Los Angeles into Colorado, and like trucking the whole family with all the trucks and all that. And it's good. You know, it's a good change. It's not Los Angeles. It's cold. There's snow right now.
There would be.
And I'm wearing sweaters.
Yeah.
You know?
But the land, the people, the community, the earth, it feels good to you?
Yeah, it was interesting. I did this like astrological thing before I came here, and LA was like supposed to be like the great place for career and business and
Yes.
all of the success. And it said astrologically that I would do deep inner spiritual work here if I moved to this spot of the country. So it's interesting that I've had this big, year of
Yeah.
catharsis and just realization and coming home, as you said, and
Yeah.
do it here.
I really do believe that to be true. I mean, I don't put all my eggs in one basket, but I do my Vedic astrology and I've done that astrocartography, like when they ask, where, and apparently no matter where I go on the planet, everything's the same for me. I've done it
Wow.
3 times. And they're like, call me in 2 more years. Call me in 2 more years. They're like, you apparently will thrive anywhere. It doesn't even matter. And I'm like, that's not fun. I want to know, like what? No excuses. I just got to thrive no matter where I am. Every place is equally supportive. Fine. So I guess all of Mama Earth and I love each other. So it doesn't matter. But yeah, but good. Good. Well, so tell us more about what's going on now that you've come home. And you have a new way of looking at the world and a new reality. Have your programs changed? Has your focus changed? Is it the same but deeper? Like, how has that evolved?
The best way I would describe it is that there was an old iteration of myself. And I want to speak just because I know we want to talk about sex and all that juicy fun stuff too, that this is true for us in our sexual journey. I just started my sexual journey when I was like 19 and had a pretty big journey there of coming home to my sexual self.
Yeah.
And so just to give everybody kind of a frame for themselves here is that I think we all have an iteration of self that is the programming, conditioning. Maybe we don't know our body in the way that it feels, or we're not aware of it, or we have a sensation we say as negative, and then we go and like do something to try to stop that sensation instead of really listening to what is that part and what is my body trying to say to me, or that character in my own head that's popping up over and over again need.
Yeah.
And so this old iteration of me had programming and conditioning based upon the childhood developmental trauma.
Sure.
That was the way it responded to the world. But the healing that I experienced going into holotropic states, I don't know if you've talked about holotropic states here, but Stan Groff really termed the coin, which means moving toward wholeness or becoming whole.
Yeah.
And it is a transcendental state of consciousness. So moving into these states of consciousness, I was able to look at trauma in a different way, see things differently, talk to my parents in a certain way, and remember things that I didn't have access to before.
Yeah.
And through that, I was able to step into a new iteration that didn't have, it was just literally like shedding snakeskin.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'm taking this old person that I've been, or the parts of me that have been trapped way deep in the past.
Yeah.
And I'm taking them off and I'm stepping into new skin. And the new iteration doesn't have the same thought processes, doesn't have the same, triggers or experiences that old identity had. I've moved more into the place of the heroes or heroines journey, and Joseph Campbell talks about of identity to essence. And I've moved into letting go of the old identity and moving into the essence of truth of who I am and who we all are. I mean, it's not like I'm unique in any of this. It's the truth of who we are as humanity.
Yeah. If you could articulate this essence in how you mother, how you are a lover, how you work with clients, what flavor is you that's now present, and what's that like?
The best way to describe it is the old iterations belief systems were that I was a monster.
Oh,
and people hear this, as a child of developmental trauma, you blame yourself oftentimes.
Sure.
So the blame was, I must be so bad, so rotten, so monstrous, so whatever, that
I'm creating this.
I deserve to be beaten or have my life threatened or whatever that is. So the thought process that's there, and then the thought process of I don't deserve comfort or human attachment is bad. The thought process of it's my responsibility to solve or save my parents, or my responsibility to stop the conflict in some way. So these three major beliefs that were in there don't exist.
Yeah.
And the thing that I discovered is the truth is that I was a light. I was like a little love light, you know, like I was a little pure little light.
Yeah.
Who, and I think it's the truth of who we all are. Like we are in our essence, love and light, and we get programmed and conditioned out of this. And so reclaiming that pure love, light, that all, it's not, you know, again, it's not unique to me. It's
It's who we are.
It's who we are in essence. And, you know, my sexual mindset of that love light is orgasmic, you know, like it's pure orgasmic energy. It's pure, like that spark of creation, that, like unconditional love that is light, love, orgasmic bliss, ecstasy. That is who we are in essence.
I find it so, I love you, by the way. This is so awesome. Different trauma, but I guess energetically sort of similar traumas. Like our souls chose these very traumatic experiences. So we start off as like obviously light, then all the programming that we're not, and then coming home to light again, and then being a teacher from that place of understanding and compassion and discerning recognition when you have a client who was where we were, and nothing's wrong, and the tools that I'm sure you're learning, and it's so wild. I'm in like a year program of learning quantum psychology, trauma releases, and like that's like my edge right now. So personally and for my clients, so that now I can help others come home to the light and be that, from the boardroom to the bedroom to motherhood, like to the whole thing. I just am so moved. So this idea of like, I deserve comfort now, and I deserve partnership. I need not save. Anyway.
Right.
I'm just here to inspire like, what does that literally look like in these new programs that you're teaching? Like, have you come around to go, okay, now I'm going to teach it this way? Have you seen different results? Like what's happening in your actual business?
I mean, so
love light.
This is pretty new.
That's what I'm thinking.
And I keep going like, well, what now? What do I do? You know, like right now I'm just resting in being.
Oh, got it.
And I haven't, like, there's desire, because now I'm like, well, this is all there is, right? Like, well, what else do you teach?
Correct. Totally correct. Yeah.
What else do you teach? And I somewhat feel like, okay, well, I'm putting on the old skin because there's so many different access points for people to come into it. And my route has been sexuality. Like I truly believe that us reclaiming our sexuality and sexual awakening can be a pathway to coming home to ourselves. It has been mine, right?
Yeah.
And so it sneaks out. I'll say it this way, like it does, no matter what I do now. And it's this interesting, maybe you're having the same experience. Now that I have access to this level of truth consciousness, or, you know, quantum consciousness, whatever you want to call it, now that I have access to it, it's spontaneously happening within the clients that I work with, where they're just because I have access to these different layers. And this is just a belief in what I keep seeing over and over again as I'm having this question, and I'm having this sort of like, okay, well, what's next? Like, how do I bring this? And this is like all there is. And so what do I do with this? I keep seeing it on these layers of like, there's the physical body, right? And I could work, somebody might come to me and say, you know, I have scar tissue from my pelvic floor when I had my baby, and we can start working in the scar tissue. But what starts happening is, yes, I'm working the physical layer, but then it starts moving into this other layers of consciousness where now we're all of a sudden in the nervous system.
Yep.
And now they're like having memories of the birth of their child.
Yes.
And we're starting to see, oh, okay, well, now we're releasing some of the nervous system trauma or the old stuff that we didn't consciously remember that starts to come conscious.
Right.
Well, then I'm working in the scar further, And all of a sudden there's a memory of their own birth trauma. Now we're in not their trauma of them giving birth, but the trauma of I'm stuck in the birth canal and I can't get out.
Right.
Now I'm feeling who my mother is. And oh my gosh, all of a sudden now I'm a queen. What the hell's going on, Jaiya? You know,
I'm in another lifetime.
I'm in another lifetime. I'm seeing myself as a queen and I'm tyrannical and I'm like hurting my sister who's, you know, giving birth. And then it just keeps deepening down these layers until all of a sudden oh my gosh, I am the goddess. I am and oh my gosh, Jaiya, not only am I the goddess, I am the light. And then it goes down to I am.
Yes.
And this is working on a scar. So it's like,
no, totally get it. Yeah.
What is happening because, and I believe my teacher who helped me come home, one of them, he said to me, the rising tide lifts all boats. And I couldn't understand that because I kept like wanting to just like, I got to help people. I got to get out there. And he just kept saying, just work on you.
Yep.
The rising tide lifts all boats. And I didn't get it until I started then doing my work with people. And these things started happening that I went, oh, I get it. It's because I have access now to another layer, because people would have those kinds of experience up to the past life layer. But I never had anybody go, oh, I am everything. I am one with everything. I am.
Yes.
And now that's happening because I got access.
Yeah, because you are that. Mm-hmm. You are the frequency, the vibration, the resonance. So now you can, same. Yeah. I want this interview to be about you, but I'll just briefly share. So we both do our work. We're always learning, growing. We are masters and we are students. Like, okay, so, but I still, the almost 12 years of custody battle and police officers and 5150 and like just the money, losing all the assets, like just, so that was my extended trauma kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get rid of Gabriel's voice screaming. One of many horrific nights of police officers and the lights flashing and screaming. I just couldn't get rid of the screaming. And I would do my positive and show up for work and do my thing and make a difference. And then I was on a panel. Adam, it was funny because we first met at Adam's house. So Adam asked me to be on a panel for his men's group. And there was a gentleman in the front and they asked a question. I did my I did my little thing and breakthrough. And in the back was my old teacher, Satyen Raja. Do you know Satyen?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and he's like, oh, grasshopper, you've come a long way since I saw you 10 years ago. I've learned some new techniques since I've seen you for a decade. Come and learn. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm sure like he's amazing and all, but like what can really help? But over those 3 days with these new processes that he'd learned, the screaming voice finally went away. And it's quiet inside. And I've had many direct experiences. I know that I'm the light, like all the rest of it. Yeah. But this thing won't go away. And it was gone. And I'm like, oh, okay, I need to learn this. I need to give this. And my intensives that are normally 4, 5, 6 hours are now like 2, 3, like they just come home. They're like, I'm good. I'm the light and I'm just going to lie here and you can come back tomorrow. I'm like, okay. So it is so rewarding to be able to provide this. And like you say, there are things we do and provide, but I really believe it's because we were willing to be humble enough, courageous enough, committed enough, surrendered enough. I don't know what all the words would be, but to do the work to really be the light, be the space, be the vibration, be the frequency for people. And yeah, even though you want to manifest the one, like I still have all my marketing or you want to feel more of this, or like I still like meet them where I was at, but it's all the same. It's just, we're just going to come home now.
Yep.
We're just going to
come home.
It's time to come home now.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so good.
Yay.
Yay is right. Okay, I just have so many questions to ask you. So I guess I want to just like tease and then we'll come back. So what is the eroticbreakthrough.com/Allana? What is this that you're teaching with the eroticism breakthrough here?
So what happened over the last 2 decades with me having my own, I think we have our own dark nights, especially those of us in this kind of like path of helping others and
sure.
Have our own like things. And then that out of that births something that helps others. And yes. I had another, this was after my son was born. I had another really dark part of my relationship with my partner where I would come to bed at night and I'd initiate sex and he'd reject me and I'd roll over and cry myself to sleep at night. And I was a sex goddess. Like I'd written books on, you know, how to have great oral sex and how to have great, you know, erotic massages. I'd done all this stuff. Yes. I knew all these techniques and my guy was like not interested. And I couldn't figure out like, well, okay. So then I started, you know, S Factor. I came home and did cat pounces in front of him and he'd be like, you don't need to do that. I was like, ouch, ouch.
Whoa.
And, you know, he was like, that's just too obvious. And I couldn't understand. And at the same time, these blueprints, I started noticing how people were aroused. Like when they come to see me, it'd be like, well, this person is more aroused when we don't touch them. And that person is more aroused when we play a psychological game. And this person is more aroused. So I started seeing these patterns because I kind of liken myself to Santa Claus. Like I have a big Santa Claus bag. We're just going to pull out everything and see what works.
Right.
And so with my clients, it would be like, well, these people, this works. These people, this works. And that's how they're turned on, aroused, and feel satisfied or loved. You know, this is how they feel fed and honored in their eroticism. And so I started questioning my way of initiating sex because I would just touch. Well, all guys, don't they want their junk touched? You know, don't they want, I don't like the word junk. The word, my partner hates the word penis. So I always have to change it to cock because he loves the word cock. So he's like, don't call it my penis, call it my cock. I'm like, okay. Don't you want your cock touched? And he'd be like, well, not now. And I couldn't understand, you know, like I would touch it in the car while he's driving. He'd be like, what are you doing? Because my projection onto men was, this is what men want.
Right.
This is what they like. They want me naked. They want me touching them. They want me giving them oral sex. I had such a stereotype for cock-bodied people that this is what they want. This is what they like. And it was what I liked. So I was initiating from my own perspective, and there was this major disconnect happening in our relationship. And so they were really born out of my own pain and born out of me seeing my clients' pain and working to go, well, what is going to work? Who are they? This comes back to this question of who are we, you know, and the layers of who we are. And on the human layer of who we are, the character layer of who we are, most people don't know who they are as erotic beings. And so they're stuck in the identity of the programming, the conditioning, and all of that that's been layered on them. And they're not aware of, I am this, and that is okay. Because we have this story that, well, if I'm different from the cultural norm, then I'm weird, I'm wrong, I'm broken. And there is a perpetuation of that with one of the certain blueprints, which is what our culture is. Do you think I should tell them? Like, should we go into what the 5 are?
Sure. Tease them, baby.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you can go take the quiz, but you may also hear like what these 5, as you're hearing me say them, what you might be. So the first one's energetic, and energetics are turned on by tease, anticipation, space, longing, yearning, you know, cosmic connection. We can go, like it's spacious. Okay. And their superpowers orgasmically are orgasms without being touched. They can think about things or have memories about things or project into the future about things and go into orgasmic states of consciousness. They can orgasm from, like, I had this experience once where I was drinking a smoothie and I could taste the sunlight in the oranges.
Oh, lovely.
Like, and it was just went into instant orgasm, you know, like, wow. They can stay in these extended orgasmic states of consciousness. They can access these other, I call it multidimensional orgasm, you know, like you can go into multidimensional orgasmic states. And when I talk about these, I don't want anyone to feel like they're wrong, broken if they're not having it. 'Cause this is a product of us not knowing what's possible and a product of us not knowing much about our bodies and about sexuality. And so we've tasted the tip of the iceberg, nor does anybody have to. You don't have to have multidimensional orgasms. Now, if you want them, cool, like we can go for it. But like, I don't want anybody to feel pressure, because I think we get all these pressure, like you got to do this and you got to do that, and instead of just like, this is possible, cool, and you can get access to it.
Yeah.
And so the shadow side of the energetic is hypersensitivity. So if someone goes for your body too much, too quick, too fast, your body can kind of shut down and go into like, overwhelm, and this will show up maybe in premature ejaculation in a cock-bodied person, or just a like loss of all arousal. Like everything is gone in a vulva-bodied person. So it's just like, where did it go? It was so hot. And then he touched my clitoris and it's not hot anymore.
Yeah.
And so that could be an experience on the shadow. Then the sensual is the next one, and that's someone who's turned on by all of their senses being ignited. It's like smells and tastes and yum and like it's like all the energetic. You can see me. I'm like out here, and then the sensual is like yum 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 yum.
Yeah,
like this. And sensual superpowers are head to toe, or like non-genital orgasm as possible, full-bodied orgasm, being so deep in your body that you're just in that delicious, they bring the beauty to an erotic experience. The shadow side is getting stuck in your head. You're worried about that something's crooked, or like, you're thinking about everything except for what's happening in between your legs or in your body. You're off, I forgot to do that thing. I didn't get the laundry. The kid's going to wake up, all of that's happening, and you're spinning in the mind instead of really present in your body.
Yes, yes.
The third one is the sexual, and the sexual is someone who's turned on by what we think of as sex in our culture. I talked about the, cultural one.
Yeah.
It's nudity, it's penetration, it's orgasm, it's getting to the end goal, and then everything's right in the world. The thing about the sexual is sex for them is not just like, for the other blueprints, it's like, cool, like, yay. Sex for a sexual is food, air, water. Like, it is how they feel loved. It is how they experience connection. It has everything feel right in the world, and they have sex to relax. They have sex to relieve stress. They have sex to feel better in essence.
Yeah.
And like, whereas a sensual needs to relax, hot baths, dancing, before they move into an erotic space.
Right.
And then the sexual superpower is 0 to 60, like orgasm, like they sex is fun, like arousal is easy, libido is high. But in the shadow side, we have, I hear this a lot from sexuals, a projection onto everyone else in the world. Something's wrong with you. Because my last partner, something's wrong with you that you don't want to have sex 2 times a day. Something's wrong with you that, my other partners weren't like this. Nobody else complained. We're having orgasms. What's the problem? Why would you want anything more than what we already have?
Right. Right.
There's a confidence in them that's like, I don't need to learn about sex. I got this, kind of a thing. That was me. And so this shadow can lead them to not exploring all that's possible. They have a limited definition of sex, and they can get really boxed into, this is the way that it is, and what's, what more is there?
Right. Right.
And with my partner and I, this was the problem. So I was a sexual.
Yeah.
And I was approaching him from the sexual. I was 40, and the quiz, I was 42% sexual.
Yeah.
And I was approaching him from that identity, of, I am the sexual, and this is who I am, and this is who you should be too.
Right.
And so when I'm touching his cock, and he's just like, no, it was a turnoff for him, because it was obvious. It was too much, too quick. He wasn't an energetic, but he wanted it to unfold. Whereas a sexual wants certainty. I want to know that we're going to have an orgasm. I want to know that your cock is going to be inside of me, and then we're going to get there, so that I can relax.
Hey, all is well in the world once we've,
everything is good once we've done this, and everything is wrong when we're not.
Right.
2 times a day, 3 times a day, like if I'm not in high pleasure, something's wrong all the time,
right.
Kind of a thing. So then the next one's the kinky, and this is what my partner primarily was. And when I did my blueprints, I didn't even have kinky on the map. So it was really interesting, because a lot of my clients were not kinky. They came to me for energetics, or they came to me, for different things. And it was when I got 50 Shades to come out, and I was, the publishers wanted me to write a book on kink. And I didn't know a whole lot about it. So I was like, well, I have to do some research. And Ian, hey, you're my partner. Would you be willing to do some research with me on this? And all of a sudden I saw arousal out of him like I'd never seen before. And he even had problems with erection, you know, like feeling aroused and getting erections. And I was like, holy schmoly, like erection for an hour standing at attention, you know, like
this is the last time we saw each other because you were researching and writing this book. I remember. Yeah. Keep telling me. Yeah.
You were at my house. I remember.
Yes, at your house. Yeah.
And so we were like newlyweds all over again. It was like, I couldn't walk into a room without us smiling or all this energy between us. And it was because I was 0% kinky on my testing. He was 0% sexual.
Oh.
He's 35% kinky and like 35% sensual. So he's like a kinky sensual.
Yeah.
He'd come to bed to initiate with cuddling and wanting things to unfold. And I'd be annoyed and not like, cuddling. What do you like touch my genitals, you know? Like,
yes.
And so we just had this massive disconnect going on. But as soon as we figured out he was kinky and I put that into the blueprint mapping and all of this, it was like, oh my gosh. So kinky blueprint is you're turned on by the taboo. And this can be psychologically turned on by taboo. So this could be, I'm more psychological if we're going to tap into it, would be like, all right, go stand in the corner. And I want you to just very slowly lift your dress, spread your legs, good girl. You know, like that kind of play where I'm not necessarily touched, but it's like the dynamic of power is super turned on.
Yeah.
Then the other is sensation based. This is someone who's turned on by like the feeling of constriction, ropes, spanking, you know, edge play, pain play. Edge play can also be psychological. So, and some people are both.
Yeah.
So Ian is both. He loves the feeling of constriction, ropes on his body and being tied very, very tightly. If I don't do it tight enough, you know, he gets all bratty with me. So really tying tight. And then the exposure of I'm tied up and there's nothing like I could do anything to him within our consent container, right? There's the psychological piece of being exposed or having to be doing things or being done to that really turn him on in that space. So the kinky blueprint superpowers are similar to an energetic where you can go into these states of consciousness like subspace, dom space, where you can I access deep healing through playing with kink, which is where my trauma healing really, I think, began, was in that space because I had been spiritually bypassing for so many years.
Yeah.
And then when we started playing in the kink space, a lot of that trauma started surfacing.
Got it.
And so the shadow side of the kinky blueprint can be, and I'll say superpower is also endless creativity. I mean, like I could play in kink for the rest of my life and never have explored all of the different dynamics and play and mechanisms and gadgets and gear and all that stuff that's in that realm.
Yes.
And then the shadow side is deep shame. Ian kept saying, why am I like this? Why am I turned on by this? He kept looking around in his history like, well, why am I so weird? Why do I like these weird things? And he was doing it. I didn't know this, but he was doing it by himself and not telling me because he was and I'm a sexologist. Like,
yeah, right? Like he's chosen the right partner.
What is this like for somebody whose partner isn't a sexologist, who's open, you know, and who has this deep, like something's wrong with me. I can't reveal that I like these weird, you know, because we're labeling, putting in the shame box, these things because of the cultural conditioning. Yeah. So the final one is the shapeshifter. And this is someone who's turned on by all of these things. There's someone who and Ian has moved into shapeshifter now over all these years. Like now he's got access to giving and receiving in all of the blueprints. Wow. So the shapeshifter is the master lover because they can speak all languages, like being fluent in 5 different languages. And the shapeshifter can have all the superpowers. And specific to the shapeshifter, they have a huge capacity for pleasure. So I've seen shapeshifters on a massage table with 6 hands and every gadget and tool, and they're tied up and they've got vibrators and they've got, you know, like all kinds of tools and gadgets all over their body. Plus they've got 6 hands on their body and it's 3 hours in and I'm like, okay, do you give yet? Like, have you had enough. And they're like, no, we're just getting started. You know, like the capacity, my body would just short circuit and I'd be like, I can't take anymore.
Yeah.
But they have just this capacity to receive. And, you know, either the hedonist and the best, like the word hedonism kind of got co-opted, but hedonism essentially means reminding us of pleasure of life. That is what a hedonist is. It's someone who reminds us of the pleasure of life. And that is the shapeshifter. They're the most erotically intelligent of all the blueprints. Shadow side is they could have all the shadows of the blueprints. And specific to them, they have this ability to shapeshift to please anybody, which makes them a great lover. But they shapeshift. Let's say your partner's a sensual and you're a shapeshifter and you're shapeshifting just to be sensual. You're not fed. Yes. You're not fed and all. So they starve. A lot of shapeshifters are starving and they've been told, you're too much. You take too long. Like you want too much. You're too demanding. 3 hours with 6 hands and all those toys. No way. And so they judge themselves as I'm too much. When in essence, I'm like, go for it. Like if you want to spend all day in pleasure, awesome. Like let go for that. Let's get you fed. And I'm like in awe of shapeshifters and their ability to be able to do that because they are so erotically sophisticated.
Wow, this is great. I'm listening to all of them and I'm going to take this quiz. So that's the eroticbreakthrough.com/Allana is that quiz, right? Okay, yes. We all have to fucking go there right now.
Yes. And I want to know what everybody's blueprint is.
Yes. Okay. Wait till the end of the interview and then go. But wow. I remember you sharing about when the kink began to happen. And I'm so thrilled that it brought the relationship back and then bloomed it to the next level and awakened the shadow or the trauma for you to heal and where you've come. It's like so beautiful that your path is you've always been on your soul journey. There was just some, roller coasters along the way, but like bravo for continuing to dive in and come home through this journey. Wow. I really miss dancing. I've been in Northern San Diego for a year. I came down for a relationship. It just completed 2 weeks ago. And Gabriel had been like disowned me, lived with his dad, didn't talk to me for like 5 months, just back into my life again recently. So it's been an interesting year for me as well. But one of the things is I wasn't going to dance class all the time. My girls, I haven't been around my girls and I really it makes me want to cry. Like I miss it. Yeah. It's sacred.
It is.
Yeah, it is. So is there S Factor in Boulder? Like, do they have like dance class or what do you do?
Yeah, and I want to just acknowledge the part of you that's so tender that's missing. I just see her. Oh, she's like, I just want to love her right now. Let her know that I see her, and we can dance right now while we're talking.
Thank you. Yeah, there's just like a pole dancing exercise class doesn't do it, or a class with mirrored women competing doesn't do it, and like there's just I have a high level of safety required, and yeah.
There's a group here. I haven't really gotten involved with them much. I've been just like, there's a sense, sometimes there's this feeling of isolation, in what we do. And it's not that I don't quite have the right words, but there can be this sense or these parts that feel so isolated. And now I'm in the more like well, gosh, I'm just weird. How can I go around like telling people they're the light? So I've just been doing so much inside of, making sure too, I'm not putting on a new identity of, now I've got to be this spiritual something or another. It's got to look some other way. 'Cause then that just becomes doing and pressure. And so this just being in the beingness and honoring all those little parts, the parts that are like, I want my sisters, or the parts that are like, everybody's going to think I'm so weird. I haven't talked much about this whole thing because I have a little part that's so afraid of persecution.
Well, I'm sure we've been on stakes burned before together, babe. in our head, our jaw. Well, my head's about to come off, so is yours. That's great. See you next lifetime. Like, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's real on some DNA level.
Yeah. And even in the dance, you know, the sisterhood, the dance, the coming home, and being a visible voice again, you know, because this isn't the first rodeo, I think, if we're talking about past lives. And even if we don't believe in past lives, I've been doing some research around just trauma being passed down through genetic material. So all of us, there were so many women affected by that time in history. It's in our genetic material.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, please. And showing up with that in there is a brave move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I so get it.
So your courage to let all the parts and the parts that want to dance and the parts that are like, you know, it is a courageous journey. And the journey of sexual awakening is we're all on a courageous, it is the heroine's journey.
Totally.
Of that. And I think this is in that journey, one, understanding what your erotic blueprint is. That's the foundation, you know, okay, I am an energetic. Oh my goodness. I'm not weird that I shake and twitch and jerk and have like crazy stuff when people don't touch me, or when somebody does touch me, it like kind of, where'd everything go? You know, like you're not weird. That's who you are right now in this moment in your erotic journey. And we get to expand that journey. So the blueprints can change. We can expand it. Like my blueprint changed a whole bunch through all this process where I don't have that sexual shadow.
Yeah.
I don't have the sexual shadow of that like hunger, you know, and Ian and I, it's just like so beautiful because it's just like, okay, well, whatever unfolds now, whatever we're being together is because we know the truth. Yeah. You know, once you get to that truth layer of like, you're love, I'm love, we're light, you're like, cool. If we want to have this thing called sex is kind of weird, you know, like what does that look like? And so we've been finding our way all over again. And he laughs because I say things now that he used to say, like, let's just let it unfold. Like, let's cuddle. Because now I have access to the sensual blueprint, which was where my trauma was all held. Why would I be vulnerable? Why would I soften? Why would I go into that space? My bedroom now is like full of fur and flowers and like, you know, all these things that before it was just like, I don't care what my bedroom looks like. You know, I could have sex in a dirty bathroom. I don't care. Now I'm like, I know I need like my space and it, you know, it has to be beautiful. And so that has changed. But so you have that foundation of that blueprint mapping that then gets to expand and grow. You know, if I had my druthers, we're all shapeshifters where we're all just like huge capacity for pleasure and we're all rolling around in like tons of orgasmic pleasure and bliss and just being orgasmic beings that we are.
Yes.
And in the next part of the journey, the essence in getting to that is really understanding all the parts that are inside of you.
Yeah.
And this has been the place that a lot of the work has gone is what are the parts? And this was in my journey. I had a moment where, you know, I'd hit this like big, I guess you could call it an awakening to more truth and what this whole journey of life as a human character is about. And all of that kind of came to the like, boom. And whoa, I was asking the existential question of how could a God, how could goddess, how could any kind of benevolent, you know, omnipotent, all-powerful being let all the little girls and all the little boys and the women in this world get hurt? Like all the persecution, all of the rape, all of the trauma, all of the abuse and violence. How could this happen? And that question got answered. And that was my big like moment of like remembering. And in that, there were still little parts that came out. So new parts came out. And one of them was this seeker that was just like, okay, you woke up and now you got to stay woke up. So anything that doesn't fit in this category means not woke up, which then was demonizing the little primitive parts of me that were scared. Like the one who's scared of being persecuted if I talk about this, or the one who's like scared of, well, now what does this mean for my business, or any of the other parts that had considerations. And we have to love all of them. And I think I spent so much time going, well, you're not enlightened, part. You go away. I'm not going to think about you. Or you're not okay, part, because you're scared. Scared is bad. I'm going to push you away. And instead, we have to love and accept every voice.
Yes.
There's so many of them up there. I had a lot of going on in the old iteration that they're all welcome. There's this Buddhist story that I heard, I've heard like 4 times in the past couple weeks, where the Buddha's sitting under the Bodhi tree and Mara comes, and Mara is like the violence and the anger and the like all the things we put in the negative bad box.
Yep.
And Buddha says, I see you, Mara. Let's have tea.
Nice.
And I love this because it's like, I see you, scared little one over there. Come, let's have hot chocolate. Let's have a bath. Let's have, can I just hold you? And I'm not going to try to fix you anymore. And I'm not going to try to get rid of you anymore. And I'm not going to try to transform you anymore. I just am going to sit with you and love you. The part that says, I can't have sex. That's good girls don't do that. Okay. That part
you can come too. Mm-hmm.
The part that says, I want to be a big, hedonist. I want to be what Jaiya was talking about, that shapeshifter. Okay, part, you get to come in. And then the part that says, no way, we can't do that. Okay, you get to come in. And they all get to come in.
Yes. Oh, okay. So this is going to be part 1 of many parts of this interview. This is so similar to what I've developed with my program, and I call it like little you, all the little yous.
Aww.
And you don't go to talk to little you to fix her or him, to change him to be perfect. And here we go. No, it's like you're willing to sit with them in the dark for eternity. For eternity. And they never change. And that's unconditional love. And can you do that to all those parts?
Yes.
And to me, that's home.
Yes.
Something just rests. Yeah. I hear you. Oh, this is so good. Okay. So I'm going to soon stop the recording, and then I will officially complete with you. But I want everybody to go to eroticbreakthrough.com/Allana, Allana. I'm so grateful that as you were explaining all of them at the end, the shadow of not being fed, I'm just like, it just brought tears. And I'm so grateful to be reminded I deserve to be fed. I choose to be fed. I choose to make this a priority. I've been pay off the legal debt and new relationship and son. I've been all these other priorities, and it's all good. And it's time to be fed for this next, phase. So thank you for that. Looking forward to all the ways I can contribute to you and support you.
Thank you.
And bravo for the journey you've been on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been my great pleasure.
Yes. Until next time, we love and adore you, Ms. Jaiya. Mwah.